Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Creative Differences Podcast. We are off to a great start. I'm Dallas, and in case you didn't hear me last episode, Spectacular Spider-Man is on Netflix now. It's important that you know that.
I'm Gabby, and I'm already a mess.
Hey guys, it's Demi coming at you guys from the East Coast and hoping that my cousins keep their noise down. Welcome to another episode of the Creative Differences Podcast, your one-stop shop for movie reviews, Throwback Thursdays, Fancast Fridays, and a number of other pop culture-related items. Today, your neighborhood MCU experts are coming at you with a review for Ms. Marvel.
Yes, we are, because that's what we do. We're nerds. Before we nerd out, please like, share, subscribe, tell everybody, tell the whole hood, because we don't want to be pushed aside like Marvel is pushing aside the Inhumans.
Ouch, that actually hurt my feelings.
I mean, imagine how they feel.
Hurt my soul.
All right, let's talk about Ms. Marvel, what we came here for. The only thing we're reviewing today. So I talked about it in a Whatcha Watching a few weeks ago. No,
We talked about it together.
We did. It was we reviewed when I reviewed the Black Phone. So I'm gonna repeat all the info in case you didn't listen to that. It's created by Bisha K. Ali, who worked on 4 Weddings and a Funeral and Loki, and did something vague for Sex Education. Wikipedia says like additional materials or something. I don't know what that means, but yeah, she was there. And it stars Iman Vellani, Matt Lintz, Yasmin Fletcher, Zenobia Shroff, and Mohan Kapoor. The IMDb summary, which was updated since we last tried to do this.
Nice.
Right? Kamala is a superhero fan with an imagination, particularly when it comes to Captain Marvel. Kamala feels like she doesn't fit in at school and sometimes even at home. That is, until she gets superpowers like the heroes she's looked up to. If it felt like I was struggling a bit, it's because I know her name is Kamala, but because of the vice president, I almost instinctively say Kamala.
Yeah.
Which is annoying because I used to call her Kamala, and then I realized how to say her name, and then now it's the whole thing.
Oh, it's a vicious cycle.
It really is. Kamala Khan, Kamala Harris, for those who don't know. All right. Demi.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you still love this show like you did a few weeks ago.
I do. This is my second favorite Disney Plus Marvel show after WandaVision, which
Nice.
remains
hard to
my
top.
top. Yeah, I don't know if WandaVision's ever gonna get topped, man. But Ms. Marvel was pretty fantastic. Dallas, how did you feel? Because I know that you started off the show a little bit lukewarm.
Yes. Like I said before, it was a bit of a roller coaster because episode 1 was cool, episode 2 was nope, episode 3 was dope, and then 4, I was back to lukewarm. 5, I was trying my best to stay awake, and then 6 was back to dope. Like the finale is so great, and I love pretty much everything about it. So overall, it's cool. That's where we land when we average all that out, I think. But I really liked episode 3 and episode 6, and I'm really glad that the show exists for all the people like you who love it.
Yeah, I was about to say. Meanwhile, I think everything about this show is fantastic from jump, from the beginning to the end. I think they did a really great job. I have like 1 or 2 critiques of this show, which I'll get to later. But I thought that this was a really great coming of age superhero story with a great infusion of culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I really appreciated about this particular Marvel project was that it felt like it prioritized the coming of age aspect of the genre more so than the superhero side. And I think that's just because we get so much superhero stuff already, and all of it kind of already falls under the superhero fare that we normally get. So it was, I think I'm just at a point now where when superhero movies prioritize a different genre, that I have a little bit more fun and it comes out a little bit more interesting to me. Like I feel the same way about the Batman. I feel like the Batman is more of a noir film than it is a superhero film.
Yeah.
I enjoy that right now just because, like I said, we get so much superhero stuff. It's nice to see something a little bit different than the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I like when we can do a genre in addition to superhero. Like when everybody loved Winter Soldier because it's kind of like a spy thriller. And then New Mutants is horror adjacent. Multiverse of Madness is really, really wants to be a horror movie.
It does.
Yeah.
Without
and
being
is
too
in
much of a
parts.
horror movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Horror light.
Yeah, so whenever they like delve into different genres, I'm all about it. Coming of age just happens to not be my favorite genre.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that this wouldn't be my favorite of their shows, but I'm glad that they can branch out and do everything. But yeah, the cultural stuff, fantastic.
So
all
good.
the representation, I love it. I'm so happy that the show exists for the. Do you have in your notes where you want to talk about the like Spider-Man comparison?
No, I don't have that in my notes at all, to be honest.
Okay. Because I remember you brought it up last time. The thing I wanted to say about that is that, I talk about the show and how, it's not my favorite. I'm not really too interested in the whole high school thing. And then Kayla calls me sexist because Kamala is a girl.
Well, your wife is the one who said it, not me. So
Yeah. And then, like Peter B. Parker, I have to re-examine my cultural biases. No, he doesn't say cultural. I don't know what he says. Re-examine my personal biases. But I know that I'm not sexist and I love Muslim people. So then I think about Spider-Man and what you said last time in terms of that guy you were quoting whose name I already forgot, even though I just heard you say it again.
his name is Coy.
Coy, yes. Sorry, when I said I heard you say it again, I just listened to our episode to hear you say it again. You didn't say it
Oh, I
today.
see. I was
Yeah.
like, I definitely haven't said it on this
No,
episode,
not
but
today.
yeah, okay.
But yeah, Coy. And he was talking about how Peter Parker was created back in the old ass 60s with old ass people reading old ass comics. And Miss Marvel, not Kamala, Kamala Khan,
Kamala.
is she's the new age, coming of age hero for the newer generation. I am not part of the newer generation.
True.
But nostalgia is a hell of a drug. And I think that part of the reason my old ass can get into any Spider-Man story now is because Spider-Man has always been a part of my life. I grew up with Spider-Man. So when I see a new Spider-Man story, I don't just look at it as a kid in high school because I'm pushing 30. And I feel like if I didn't grow up with Spider-Man being such a big part of my life, I might just look at that as a high school story and dismiss it.
Meanwhile, Kamala was created after we got out of high school.
Exactly. And I didn't read her comics. So when the show came out, I'm 29 with bills and existential fear and dread. So I don't really, high school coming of age story isn't really my thing right now. But like I said twice, for all the kids growing up right now, for all the kids who are in high school, especially the young Muslim kids, the young South Asian kids, I'm glad that they have this to look at because, I grew up with Peter Parker, whom I love, but he's another white boy at the end of the day. So
That's very true. But
yeah.
speaking of representation, I do want to talk about how Iman Vellani is a star, my guy. Like, yo, she owns this role, man. And then watching her in interviews outside of this show, she seems like she is Kamala in real life as well. She's delightful and charismatic and likable and so relatable, both as an actress and as the character Kamala.
Right.
Just you want to protect Kamala at all times and just at all costs. Like she comes across as like, yo, that's my little sister right there. Like I don't want anything bad to happen to her.
She's adorable.
She's so cute. I want her to figure out life. And I also really appreciate the fact that the show seems to really focus in on her being a defensive and protective hero more so than an offensive one. Because I feel like with a lot of superhero movies, we see superheroes take the offensive a lot. But even in the season finale, which I think might be the most satisfying season finale that we've had from an MCU TV series from Disney Plus so far.
Interesting.
It hit for me a lot better than a lot of the other season finales have.
Mm-hmm.
Can't explain why. It just felt like it closed out the story a lot better than all the rest of the season finales have done. Yeah, even in that finale, even though she's going up against, a big antagonist that can take her out, she is on the defensive more so than she is on the offensive. Her goal is not to harm, her goal is to protect at all times. And I really appreciate that focus that the show has. Like whenever she's fighting anybody, it's like, no, I'm trying to defend myself or others. I'm not trying to hurt anyone.
Yeah, she's not chasing people down to freaking kick their sternums in like Captain America does.
Captain America.
She's just
I
trying
like
to
that
protect
Captain
herself
America.
and her loved ones.
Both of your
it's his
examples.
go-to.
I'm just thinking about like Captain America sprinting as fast as he can to go decapitate a man with a shield. He doesn't decapitate anyone, but like, let's be real.
But
he would've
like, if it
decapitated
was
somebody.
real life,
That's a
Right.
Soldier Boy reference, not a Captain America reference.
does
True.
Soldier Boy do that?
Anyway,
Basically.
Oh my god!
So
Sorry.
continuing on, back to Kamala. I think she has one of the best supporting casts in the MCU. Her family feels like a real family, and all the actors have really great chemistry together.
I love the family.
Oh, they're so great.
The dad is so amazing. He's just so happy and jolly and wholesome.
Aw.
Yes. The whole family is actually pretty wholesome. Even when they're even the show kind of starts off with her family being pretty restrictive, they still feel like a very wholesome family even in the midst of that. It feels like some shows where they make restrictive parents, like the parents are like obviously the bad guys. Like these are
Right.
evil parents. It's like, no, they're just protective of their
Yeah.
daughter.
Oh.
And
Oh my
the
god, I'm gonna
mom
relate.
and the mom softens kind of as it goes on. Not that she was, a, terrible in the beginning, but
She wasn't.
she's a lot more likely to. Kamala can
Overreact?
open up to her,
Oh, okay.
and she interacts with her slightly differently. It's funny because I don't want to just compare one Muslim thing to another, but it feels like the other side of the coin with Rami's family. To me, I don't think you've
Mm.
seen the show Rami,
I've
but
never
Gabby
seen
has.
Rami.
I
And
have.
I also think it takes place in New Jersey. I don't know why all the
It
Muslim shows are
does.
in New Jersey, but
Well, there might be a large South
Community.
Asian, Middle
I can see that.
Eastern community there, perhaps? I don't know.
But yeah, you get issues on Rami of his sister feels stifled. Meanwhile, he is not because he's the son, and then you have issues of like a cultural disconnect with the parents and all these things. And obviously, these aren't exclusively Muslim things, but it's just funny because you look at that dynamic in Rami, and everything is just so toxic over there, and then you look at it over here, and it's so wholesome, and it's like, oh, this is a nice version that doesn't just make me feel bad.
Also, I think
Yeah.
that Kamala's mom actually has a really great arc as the show goes along too.
Mm,
She's not just there to be a mom; she like legitimately has character growth as the show goes on, which is very nice.
yeah,
I,
I like
I like
that.
when supporting characters have arcs.
I love
Yeah,
that.
I think
yeah,
that Kamala's friendships with Bruno and Nakia, played by Matt Lintz and Yasmin Fletcher, are super precious.
I love Bruno so much.
Fun fact: he was up for the role of Spider-Man, as a matter of fact,
Interesting.
which I
Kayla
can
was
see it.
saying she could see him playing Peter Parker. And yes, but when I see him, especially knowing that he's a genius, my thought immediately goes to Richie from Static Shock. So
Interesting.
Hmm.
if and when that happens, we should get Matt Lintz to play Richie because he's essentially playing Richie right now.
Okay.
But he's
Okay.
great.
No.
Bruno's
He's really
fantastic.
good. I think they're both really fantastic, and I hope that we get more of the trio if we get a season 2, which I hope we do. I hope we get more of them as a trio next time around because we didn't get to see them as a trio too often. It was usually just
Yeah.
Kamala with one or the other, and occasionally with both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I really like Kamran, and I love Kareem, aka the Red Dagger. So I'm
Mm.
interested to see where their stories go based off of how season 1 resolved. Also, shout out to Kamala on her 3 boyfriends and making them all get along. Mad respect, a young legend right there.
That is a way to put that.
Listen,
Even though,
the
what's
girl
up?
gets 3 love interests in the span of 4 episodes, okay?
Is it
Wild.
3? Is it 3?
Bruno, Kamran, and
We're not
Kareem are
counting
definitely.
Bruno.
We do
We're
count
not. We're
Bruno.
not.
He's interested.
We're not
He's injured.
counting
Bruno is
Bruno.
deeper in the friend zone than anyone I've ever seen.
That's
We don't
absolutely not true,
count
I promise you.
Bruno.
Not more than anyone you've ever seen.
Okay, not more than anyone I've ever seen. But like Killer Cam shows up and it's Bruno who immediately. So I'm not gonna put Bruno in that list with Kamran and
Question:
Red Dagger. What's up?
Did you call him Killicam?
I did.
Was that your nickname or is that from the show?
No, it's
That's
not.
mine.
It's
That's mine.
his.
The show does not call him Killer Cam.
Killer Cam and Killer Kareem.
Yeah.
They both begin with K's.
Cameron.
Oh
I love
man.
this.
Another thing that I loved was the details of how her costume comes together across the series.
Yeah, that was cool. The red sash and everything.
It's really dope. I thought that was such a good touch to add and giving every piece a meaning so that when it all comes together as a whole, it just has so much more meaning behind it than just, oh, that's her superhero costume. Like, no,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of emotional resonance behind that costume.
Okay.
I love how much of a role her family and community play in the development of her identity as a hero, because I feel like that really cements how important her journey was with her personal identity, which is how the coming of age thing really comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
Because without the coming of age story, she really doesn't have that solo identity as a hero. She just kind of is just a Captain Marvel fangirl if she doesn't go through that journey.
Right. Also, speaking of her family, there's a scene when her brother, Amir, is getting married. And
Yes.
he said something that, oh man, I felt it. He's getting married and his dad comes in the room and he just says $732. And the dad is like, what? He says, that's how much I have in my savings account. And I thought, oh boy, that's relatable. And then his dad's like, I'm surprised you have that much. And it's a funny little moment, but just the look on his face, like, yo, I just got married. I'm about to start a life. I have $700 to my name. Just the life of a millennial.
And that is what we mean when we say that these characters are relatable.
They really are in all their different ways.
So relatable. I thought it was also really wonderful the way that they infused the history of the partition of India in there. That's like a piece of history that I didn't know about.
Oh, yeah.
I felt that they did a wonderful job of both educating and building a heartfelt story for Kamala and her family within that piece of history.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when they started doing the Tulsa Massacre in a number of Black media, like
Right.
Lovecraft Country, for instance. It was like, oh, here's something most people probably don't know the history of. Let's infuse
Yeah.
that into our story and
And
educate
Watchmen
people.
was like, that was kind of like the foundation for that plot line.
Yeah, it became very important for the
Mhm.
plot and for Kamala's personal growth as well,
Yes.
which was
But
really nice.
speaking of Black people, there's something I've noticed in that this year, Hollywood is having an interesting realization. And that's not exclusively this year, but I've seen it a lot this year. That's how funny it is when Black women nope out of a situation. Because in Jurassic World, DeWanda Wise, she sees the dinosaur, she's standing next to Chris Pratt, she says, nope, and she runs. In Lightyear, Kiki Palmer is staring at the open abyss of space. Socks tells her to jump, and she says no in one of the funniest ways I've ever heard it said. I'm sure she's going to nope all over the movie Nope, because that's the name of the movie.
Mhm.
And my favorite moment in this show is in episode 3, and I wanted to bring it up when I did the Whatcha Watching, but you hadn't seen it yet.
Oh, yeah.
When the antagonists come in, Kamala runs to the kitchen. She's like, everyone needs to get out of here right now. They ignore her because, they got jobs and bills.
Oh,
They're not
yeah.
listening to the girl. And then one of the antagonists comes in for no reason, punches a dude in the face, knocking him out. And this random Black chef, she just says, absolutely not. No, puts her stuff down and leaves.
Yes, I remember that.
That is my favorite moment of the show. The way she said it, absolutely not. No.
Like she was done
I
already.
was like, this is the best thing. But
Oh
yeah,
my
I'm
goodness,
here
I
for
She's
remember
like,
all
they
of
do
that.
not pay me enough for this. I'm
Exactly.
They
out.
don't. They absolutely
don't.
don't. There's nobody in the world that pays you enough to deal with it.
No,
Nah.
absolutely not.
Oh
it's
my
so great.
goodness. Oh man, I think the visuals on the show are really well done. We kind of talked about it last time we talked about the show. The episodes where they really stuck out to me were episode 1, 5, and 6.
Okay.
I really love that they went for a more stylized look than what the rest of the MCU kind of goes for.
Mhm.
Episode 1 really gives us a look into Kamala's mind. Episode 5 reminds me of Bollywood movies. And I thought I was just tripping. I was like, is it just me or does like the beginning of episode 5 look like a Bollywood movie? And I saw a couple of other people say it online, so I'm not crazy.
The vibes.
Yes, the vibes. And I love the colorful lighting in episode 6 and the return of some of Kamala's animated imagination.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's very, very dope. I really enjoyed Adil and Bilal's directing, which makes me even more excited to see what they bring to the table for Batgirl.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And also I really was impressed by Charmaine Obaid Chinoy. Well, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. I liked her direction of episode 4 and 5. She's actually an Oscar-winning director for documentaries. So I
Oh.
thought it was really interesting to see her fictional work, I guess you could say,
Mm-hmm.
because those are two very different types of filmmaking.
Yeah.
And she did a wonderful job. The only critique that I really have for this show is that the antagonists aren't really interesting.
Yeah.
My investment in Kamala though really compensates for that so much because I'm just like I don't care what they're up to. I care about Kamala learning about herself more than I care about whatever villain she has to fight against. And also
Yeah.
that my other critique, and this isn't just for Ms. Marvel, this is just the Disney Plus shows in general. They're like too short. Like I feel like we need 8 episodes because I feel like by the time we get to episode 3, now we're like racing to the finish line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I feel like we need a little bit more, a couple more episodes.
I could see that. For me, it's like case by case, depending on how interested I am in the show. Because when I was watching Loki, by the time we got to the end, I was like, we can wrap this up. And
Yeah.
then I really loved the end of that show because, Jonathan Majors pops out, just kills it.
Out acting everybody.
Yeah. But I see what you mean, especially in a show like this, where episode 5, a lot of it is dedicated to showing the
flashback.
past. Yeah. So it's like, wow, we didn't even have a full 6 episodes to deal with this story because we have to talk about that story as well.
Or like
But-
Moon Knight, where we're like, there's a third mystery
There's
that,
so
and where
much
is
going
it?
on.
where's the reveal? And you're like,
And
we're
they're
running
like-
out of episode.
Season 2 is where the
You're
reveal
like,
is.
hey, the show's over. Stay after the credits for that thing we should have told you about already.
Exactly. So yeah, I agree
Well,
with you.
it's funny that you mentioned that because my next note is actually I appreciate the credit scene for this show. It didn't undercut the story of the season. Like
Okay.
the season stands on its own as a story. Like you don't need to watch the end credit scene. It won't tell you anything else about the season or anything else that you need to know about Kamala or anything like that. Unlike
Mhm.
how we complain about the one for Far From Home where we're like, that's just a part of the movie. And if
Yeah.
you missed it,
Yeah,
you
that
missed
should
it.
have been the last scene, not the credit scene.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but this one doesn't undercut the story in any way. The season stands very well on its own. Everything gets a resolution, and then the credit scene sets up for what's going to happen next for Kamala, which is the Marvels, which is coming out next year, which I'm super hyped for. I was already super hyped for it, and then that end credit scene just hyped me up
Oh.
even more. And I wish I could talk about it, but I can't.
I want to talk
Yeah,
about it
please
off
don't.
mic because, to be honest, it confused me a little bit.
I'll
Okay.
let you know. I'll tell you.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I know. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Last thing I want to say, speaking of relatability for the show, is a small thing, but toward the end, last episode, one of the characters, he's feeling a great pain, and he says,
Mm.
"I feel like I'm being crushed from the inside out."
Yeah.
And I leaned over to Kayla and I said, "Oh, he got Crohn's disease."
No. Okay, so Dallas, since we're talking about how relatable this show is,
What's up?
I knew that it was relatable from the first 5 minutes when we see Kamala taking her driver's test and immediately she's in reverse and she backs up the car.
Well, yeah.
I did that in my first driver's test, except that I didn't run into somebody's car.
Oh,
At
well,
least you
that's good.
didn't do that.
'Cause she smacked that car.
Yeah. No, I did the exact same thing. And when I
Oh,
saw
man.
it, I was just like, I've done that before. Oh my gosh.
Aw.
Yeah, relatability. Show has it.
This show has
Relatable.
it. Yeah, I'm really interested. So now that that show's over, I don't think we're getting another Marvel anything until Black Panther Wakanda Forever this year.
Okay.
I don't know if She-Hulk is coming out this year or not. I don't remember.
Oh,
But
no, it is.
oh, is it? Well, maybe She-Hulk's next then. I'm interested then because the season finale for this has now come out right before San Diego Comic-Con, which is going to be the return of Marvel Studios to the Comic-Con stage
True.
since 2019, which is when we found out about most of the projects that we've already seen in the past few years. I think the only ones left that were talked or mentioned, not even fully talked about, that were mentioned that we have left are Black Panther, Captain Marvel, or well, not Captain Marvel, the Marvels,
The Marvels, yeah.
Blade, and Fantastic Four. Those are the only four things that were
Interesting.
mentioned at 2019 Comic Con that we haven't gotten to yet. And even
Oh,
then,
wow.
those weren't expanded upon. They were literally just mentioned.
Right.
So I'm excited to see what the panel's going to be like this year because we're obviously going to get a
Yeah.
lot more information about what's coming next in Phase 4 and possibly Phase 5.
Ooh, yes.
I'm looking forward to it. A little nerd heart is growing 3 sizes.
Also, if you missed out on Ms. Marvel, I would highly recommend that if you are invested in the MCU in any way, I would highly recommend watching it because I feel like it has put in some of the biggest setup for what's coming for this universe.
Mm.
Oh.
And I can't say what it is.
Yeah, got it. But yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's got some of the biggest setup moments for the MCU so far, I think.
We'll see what they do with that. Also, for clarification, She-Hulk comes out August 17th,
Oh, wow.
according to the
Ooh.
internet. Yeah, got about a month.
Very, well, I guess that means we're probably getting a trailer next week then.
I thought there was one that dropped recently.
There's a teaser, but
Ah.
we're getting a trailer.
Got it.
Trailer.
But
Cool,
yeah,
cool.
I'm so excited.
so to sum that all up, I love Ms. Marvel. I think it was a really, really well-made show. I do think the antagonist probably could have been better, but I love Kamala enough that honestly didn't even matter to me. I cared more about her personal identity crisis than I did about whatever superhero antagonist she was supposed to be going up against.
Understandable. And I did not love it, but it's cool. And I am very happy that it is a thing for the people who will find more enjoyment, like Demi and all the people who are coming of age right now.
Yeah. Shout out to Anjali Bhimani and Aramis Knight, who I did not mention in my review, but I like them as actors outside of this show. So I was really happy to see them on the show.
I feel it.
All right, guys. So what you been watching outside of Ms. Marvel for you, Dallas? And
Let's
Gabby,
see.
what have you been watching?
I have a very quick one, and
Go
it's
for it.
tangentially related to what we're talking about. Spectacular Spider-Man is on Netflix. In case you guys didn't hear me
Oh my gosh.
I knew it.
previously on Creative Differences, I told you guys Spectacular Spider-Man is on Netflix. So this is going to be a teaser for a future What You're Watching segment because I haven't gotten to see I haven't gotten to much of it yet. I've only been
Okay.
able to see a few episodes, but when I finish the show, I will be coming back to tell you about it again. So I just want to say a few things. One, it holds up super well so far. Two, Greg Weisman is really that dude. Like, he might be one of the best minds in animation because the man does not miss. He made The Spectacular Spider-Man, Gargoyles, and Young Justice. All three of these shows are amazing. And 3, that theme song is absolutely fire. And I don't even look at the remote when the skip intro button pops up on Netflix. I'm
Oh
like,
damn.
get that
Okay.
button out of my face.
It'd
I'll
be
be
like
in a
that though. I did
yeah,
that with
I'll be
Young
Alright.
Justice.
I'll be crumping in the living room to that theme song. But yeah, Spectacular Spider-Man. Stay tuned for me finishing it and telling you more about it. Just know it's amazing, and it's on Netflix. In case you didn't hear me the first 3 times, Gabby,
Yay.
what you been doing watching?
Okay, so I have been watching the show called, or actually I finished the first season and there's only one season out, so I've already watched the entire thing. It is called The Bear.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
I've heard of that too. I
Yes.
heard it's amazing.
It is really good, and I will get to why. So, just so everyone knows, The Bear is about a young chef from the world of fine dining comes to Chicago to run his family's Italian beef sandwich shop. It stars Jeremy Allen White, Ebon or Ebon. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm so sorry. Moss Backrock, Ayo Eddie Berry, Lionel Boyce, Lisa Colonzayas, and Abby Elliott. It was created by Christopher Storer, and it is on Hulu. Also features, Maddie Matheson, who is a pretty famous like YouTube chef. He's not just on YouTube; he's on, famous in his own right as a chef. It also has Oliver Platt in it, and it guest stars John Bernthal, Joel McHale, and Molly Ringwald.
Nice.
So it has some really interesting guest stars that were like, oh my god, they're here.
Yeah.
I'm kind of well, I love food. Okay, I love to cook, and I can be a little bit of a food snob. I like going to fine dining
She's a
restaurants.
foodie.
I am. I'm a big foodie. And so what I liked, what intrigued me about the show, especially in the first episode, was it just had a lot of Easter eggs for foodies.
Nice.
Like they mentioned the French Laundry, which is a very famous like 3 Michelin star restaurant in California. It mentioned Noma, which is largely considered one of the best, if not the best restaurant in the world. Yeah, it just mentioned a lot of really great fine dining restaurants that are very famous. It has like Maddie Matheson in it, who again, he's famous from YouTube and just cooking
Right.
in general. And there's even like the main character falls asleep to a YouTube video, and it's Pasta Grannies, which is a famous YouTube channel where Italian grandmothers teach you how to make pasta.
Nice.
And it's not in English, like they have to like translate what they're saying. But I'm like, oh my god, he's watching Pasta Grannies. I watch Pasta Grannies. I'm like, this is very relatable.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what hooked me. But ultimately, the main character, his struggle, his name is Carmen Barazzo, but he goes by Carmi. Ultimately, Carmi struggled to just keep his family sort of like dying restaurant alive in the wake of the tragedy that he just experienced. I just wanted him to catch a break the entire season. I was like, please catch a break. But like every time something was going okay, it went horribly wrong. And he went from like having been the chef de cuisine, so he was like the head chef. Everything was yes chef, no chef. Everything he said was listened to. Every word he said, the people hung on to it. He went from that to like no one would listen to him. Everyone talks over him at his family's restaurant. No one respects him. They all call him like a snob. And he's like, I'm just trying to make this survive. And it's delightful. It was also sad, and it has moments of like real levity. And Ayo Edeberry, who plays Sid, Sid also just wants to help him succeed. And she's just like this, she's basically like a millennial or like older Gen Zer who's just like trying to help him. And he at times fully accepts the help and is like, yes, you're my number 2. And at other times he's just like an asshole and she's like, fuck you, man. But like, because it's kitchen and kitchen culture, everybody is in your face about it, right? That's like what is sort of famous about kitchens is like back there, it's sort of like you can't put a microphone in the back room of like in a kitchen because people, they'll be immediately canceled. Like,
Yeah, I've heard
you
I've
know.
heard some things about that.
Sounds like a writer's room.
Yeah. So it's just sort of that culture, but ultimately it's people that love food, people that are trying to make a dream work. And God, it was so good. And I like watched it in like one sitting. Like I watched the whole season
Nice.
in one sitting because it was only 8 episodes. They were no more than 25 minutes, I think. And it's just really good. Highly recommend The Bear.
Also, it just got renewed for season 2, so there's that.
Yes. And then just in case anybody's like, who is the main guy? Jeremy Allen White plays Lip on Shameless.
Okay. I don't watch Shameless, but I was like, I know this guy. I've seen his face. He looks very
Yeah.
familiar.
Shameless has been on my watch list since that show started. I really do need to watch it. I was going through an Emmy Rossum phase during that time period. I need to go watch it because I really love her. She's great.
My partner really likes Shameless, and I was like, hey, did you know that one of the guys is in the show? And he's like, we should watch it. And then I think he got 2 episodes and was like, you need to watch the show. And I was like, I don't know. And then he was right. He's totally right. It was really good. Yeah.
Because he knows you.
He does.
He's like, you're a food snob here.
Perfect.
All right. I think that brings us to me.
It does.
Dallas and Colin have been telling me to watch the show since it came out, which is basically almost as long as we've had this podcast. So I finally watched Harley Quinn on HBO Max.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I remember being surprised that you had not seen it. I was like,
yeah,
"What?"
it just was a show that I never jumped onto. I watched the full 2 seasons in the span of like 2 or 3 days because it's me.
It is you.
I love Harley Quinn, as you guys probably know from anytime we bring up Harley Quinn. I'm probably the biggest Harley Quinn fan on this channel.
I can see that, yeah.
And I have to say that, this is just another fantastic portrayal of the character. I do enjoy Haley Cuoco's portrayal of Harley Quinn. The show is created by Justin Halpern, Patrick Shoemaker, and Dean Laurie, and it stars Kaylee Cuoco, Lake Bell, Alan Tudyk, Ron Funches, Tony Hale, and Matt Oberg, among others. And according to IMDb, the series focuses on a single Harley Quinn who sets off to make it on her own in Gotham City. Well, guys, she ain't single no more, and I'm stoked about it. So I'm a big Harley Quinn fan. And I think that this is a really great portrayal of Harley Quinn. And I don't know, man, the mature R-rated stuff really works for Harley's character. I mean, she works in a PG-13 setting as well,
Yeah.
but she's like Deadpool. It's a lot more fun when she gets to be rated R.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I really like the animation on this show. I think it's a lot of fun. It's absurd at times and very ridiculous. It's super funny. The action is really, really good. It is pretty gory.
Yes, it is.
My aunt walked in on me watching an episode. Harley and Ivy are covered in like red stuff. And my aunt was like, are they covered in jelly? What is that? And I was like, oh no, a guy just exploded on them. And I said it in the most like straight, like, yeah, that's what just happened. And she was like
that sometimes.
Okay. And I was like, yeah, guy exploded on him. That's how it is. That was like episode 3 or something like that. But yeah, I really had a great time watching it. I have always liked the idea of Harley and Poison Ivy. It's not something that I had read a lot of. I've read a little bit of it in the DC Dark Knights of Steel comics that I've been reading recently. But like, man, this show made me such a Harley and Ivy fan to the point where like, yeah, Ivy makes a few mistakes, but I'm like, I don't condone, but I understand.
Oh goodness.
But I understand. I love me a good gay romance that starts out with 2 people being best friends and then them slowly not even slowly. They just suddenly realize that they're in love with that person and it's just like, "Oh no. Oh, what have I done?" Because it's really relatable. I was like, "Oh, I'm Harley." God.
Yeah, I just, I don't like when they take characters I like and make them hoes. It's not my favorite thing.
I wouldn't say Ivy's a hoe. That requires multiple people to be involved. She did it with one, and we had the conversation in the group chat where I was like, she's it was one thing and it was an accident. It's not like she meant for it to happen and then immediately happened after the thing happened, and I went, oh no.
Yeah, because I didn't realize that you hadn't seen the thing, but I'm glad I didn't describe what it was. I was just like, oh yeah, Ivy's a hussy. And then
me and Dallas
like
to
what?
have
And
that
then
conversation. We like to make
Yeah.
fun of these things ever since Spider-Man.
Yeah, and then you're like, well, that's not. And then I was like, oh, she hasn't seen it yet. And then boom. I like
And
it.
then it happened like immediately after we had the conversation, and I was like, "Oh, I understand. Ivy, just leave your relationship, girl. God." But to be
Gabby.
fair, I
Oh,
wanted
but I
Ivy to leave
like
Kite
Kite
Man from
Man.
day one. So
Yo, Kite Man is so.
it's not even that actually, you know what? Maybe I do dislike Kite Man. He annoys me. I'm
He's an
sorry.
idiot. He's,
I,
yeah, but,
I think he's a very hilarious character, but I also
he's a
just in
lovable
my
oaf.
every time I saw him with Poison Ivy, I was just like, Ivy, girl, standards. I know that they're higher than the floor. I know that they are. I
But
know that
but
they
he was so nice to her. He was so good to her. He was just dumb.
the problem that I have is that the first time he meets her, when she asks him to take her back to her apartment just so that she can pick something up to go save some people's lives,
Hmm.
he ends up naked in her bed. And I'm just like, I actually can't. I cannot. And by that point, I knew she was gonna end up dating him because you guys had talked about it. But I was just like, Ivy, no, this is
He's
It
this
just
is
did
an
such
seem
idiot.
strange.
it's an invasion of your like it's harassment. It's harassment is what it is.
It is.
I think it's just proving that he's an idiot and that he doesn't understand social cues.
No, 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 no. It's inappropriate and it's unacceptable. And you know what? Maybe that's why I was okay with what she ended up doing with Harley. Cause I was just like, you know what? Everybody's just committing misdemeanors out here. So
And felonies, because these are some criminals.
Yep. He was such an idiot, but I loved him.
he's funny.
for
I just didn't like him
her.
with Ivy. It upset me to no end because I was like, I know Ivy has better taste than this girl. I know you do. But speaking of the Harley Quinn show, the trailer for season 3 just came out because the show is coming out in like a week or two.
That is correct. 2 weeks. I know because I just watched that trailer for the first time. Right on into trailer track. And Harley Quinn season 3 trailer came out. I just watched it. It looks like the first 2 seasons. So I think I'm gonna like it.
I also think that I'm gonna like it. I'm super excited, obviously, to get the actual like Harley and Ivy relationship, but also I am anticipating so much angst based off of that trailer because it looks like Ivy might be somewhat of a big bad this season, maybe? Because it looks like Harley's becoming more of a good guy. She's becoming more of her anti-hero persona
Mm-hmm.
and less so of the villain persona. So it looks like her and Ivy are gonna have some beef over that, which is interesting.
It is an interesting direction to take it because you're taking characters who you start out and they're not good people. Like
No.
everyone she hangs out with is a DC villain. It's like to take villains and then make one like, no, like now she's really gonna be a villain. It's an interesting concept because we've seen Ivy and Harley just murder people left and right for the
Oh,
first
for
two
sure.
seasons. But now they're gonna have to portray it in a way that it's bad. Like not
It's
just
bad for
bad, but like
Poison
it's
Ivy.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, like oh no, this is like a thing. This is a problem now.
I do love her saying that she's an eco-terrorist whenever somebody calls her a villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is okay.
It's hilarious.
Was Dick Grayson in the show before?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, cool. So this is his introduction.
It is, yeah, and Batgirl was
Nice.
on the show in season
I
2.
remember her in season 2. Yeah, she was all over the show. But that's dope.
Yeah.
Also, I'm so glad we're getting Sanaa Lathan back as Catwoman.
Ooh.
She's my favorite. I love her so much.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Catwoman on the show, especially since they're gonna actually be portraying her relationship with Batman, which should be a lot of fun.
Oh, is that what they're doing?
I don't remember if it's this trailer or if it was in the last teaser, but I feel like I saw them
Okay.
together in this trailer.
I just remember her in the tub, and then she like whips the thing. You know, she was whips. That's what she
Yeah,
does.
that's what she does.
And the clips are going very fast.
And I think they've referenced something of their relationship in season 2. Something about him waxing. Or maybe I'm thinking of something else.
It's hard to keep up with silly DC things now because now we have Peacemaker making all these dumb jokes, and we have the Suicide Squad making all these dumb jokes. So hard to keep up.
Gabby, are you excited?
Yes.
I was watching her watch the trailer and she was cracking up like every few seconds.
I was. I'm
Oh,
very
nice.
excited. I'm like, I'm gonna enjoy this.
Gabby,
Yes.
how did you feel about? Because I know you love Poison Ivy. She's like
I do.
she's one of your loves. How did you feel about the show making her a hussy?
I refuse to call her a hussy.
That's why I'm here.
Listen,
You don't have to.
MJ did it multiple times over and over and over again across the
We
span of
know
multiple
they
movies.
made MJ a hussy.
Poison Ivy did
in
not do the
OG
same
Spider-Man
thing.
movies. There are levels to being a
Um,
hussy. But yeah, Gabby, what's
She's a really low level.
I think things are complicated. Okay.
up?
Oh my gosh. I will say this, Dallas, I completely understand. I love Lake Bell's portrayal of Poison Ivy, and
Oh yeah, she's amazing.
I would love for a live action Poison Ivy to be portrayed in such a dry manner, but with the fashion sense of Uma Thurman's Poison Ivy in the modern day.
Yes, that would be
Interesting.
great. I would love that.
Also, I think if they go back to Joker being like a family man,
Oh, I'm so excited.
that'll be so funny. Because when they did that in season 2, that was my favorite thing, just being a random suburban dad or whatever, stepdad.
I'd ship him and the random suburban mom that he was dating. I don't
That was so
understand.
funny. Because we've seen 1,000 iterations of Joker's a crazy psychopath, and he's gonna do crazy psychopath things, and that's cool. Alan Tudyk is amazing. Yeah, this is something new, and I find it hilarious, and I would love to just watch him run for mayor with Alan Tudyk's silly voice.
I thought it was so funny that in season 2 he's like part of Harley's realization that she's in love with Poison Ivy, which is just so crazy to me. And like he's like making jokes about her losing her. I'm like, dang, Joker.
He's a wild boy.
It's a wild man. That's a wild, wild man. Yeah, I'm excited for season 3, especially since I just finished the first 2 seasons, so it's not like I have to wait super long or anything. It's a couple weeks away.
Yeah.
Yeah. You played the smart game. The long
Timed
game.
that very well.
I did time it very, very well. It only took me 3 years.
All right, moving on to the next trailer, and I'm going to pass it over to you guys. Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power.
Woo-woo.
Yo, that's definitely $500 million on the screen right there.
Yo, for real. I have questions though.
I do
What's the
too,
question?
because I don't know anything about the second age, and I think that's when this show takes place.
Okay, I was gonna ask you. I was like, when does this take place?
I think this takes place in the second age.
So like
and I know-
after.
No, this is
before-
far before Lord of the Rings, because Galadriel's in the trailer, and so is Elrond.
Oh,
Galadriel's
wait.
a huge part of the
I
trailer.
I know what this is. This is when the Rings of Power were made.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is Sauron origin story.
Yeah,
I'm
so he's
scared.
probably hot,
Oh God, no.
because that's how these things go.
We're gonna get a
He
splash
better not
zone?
be good enough for me to root for him, because absolutely not.
He probably won't be. He'll just be hot and evil. There you go.
Okay, good. I'm okay with that.
Especially with the visions that Galadriel's having, like that
Yeah.
that like hellish looking vision that we saw, if it's a vision at all, if that's not something that she just saw in like reality, that looks insane. The entire show looks insane. Like I said, it looks like $500 million. Like it
Yeah.
looks like they said, we're gonna make a movie, but we're gonna make it into a TV show, which is what most streaming services do, but the budget is never quite like this. This is the most expensive show ever made.
Yeah, this is Amazon's showing off their money. This is like, oh,
Yeah.
They're like, yeah,
you
we
want to see
can-
how much money we have?
We can spend $500
We have all of
million
it.
on a show. Why not? Go for it.
Ugh.
I do think the girl playing Galadriel, I don't know any of the actors who are in the show except for Cynthia Addai Robinson, because in my opinion, she is like a genre queen, because I've seen her in multiple things. But the actress playing Galadriel, she's doing a really good job, especially because Galadriel is played by obviously an actress that we are all very well aware of, know very well, know her voice very well. And I feel like the actress playing her on this TV show is capturing that essence very, very well, as well as the voice. I was like, I think if I close my eyes, I could imagine Kate Blanchett is right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. She is like so many different genres.
Oh yeah, she's great. So she's been in Star Trek, she's been in Arrow, she was in Columbiana, she was in Spartacus. I loved her in Spartacus.
Oh, her.
Yeah,
I know her.
Vampire Diaries. Like she's been in a lot of genre stuff. Flash forward.
She's in The Accountant.
Yes, which I saw for the first time recently because it was on TV while I was putting my kitchen back together.
Isn't it great?
I love that movie.
I mean, I wasn't really watching it, to be fair. I just saw it in passing and I saw that she was on it. But yeah, the show looks amazing, and there are a lot of people complaining.
What? Is it because there's brown and black people in it?
Yeah, you know.
Man,
You know how
get
it goes.
over it. Man, nobody
They're
wants to
breaking
see
the
just like,
lore, Gabby.
man, shut up. That's
Losers.
just fake. It's not real.
It's not real, guys. It's
Also, just like, I'm sorry, it's just, no offense, it's just boring when it's just one single color palette. Like, let's get some color in there. Let's get some variety.
the Frozen quote. I'm gonna download that quote and just use it as a soundbite from now
You
on.
should have it as a soundbite.
It really is beautiful, isn't it? But it's so white. You don't have a little color.
But yeah, it looks really good. As a huge fan of the Lord of the Rings movies, I'm really excited to see what they do. like I said, I don't really know a lot about the Second Age. Obviously, I know or have the inkling that this show is going to be about the Rings of Power being made, which is a obviously very, very important. How that series of events is going to unfold, I don't know. I haven't read that stuff. I've never read the I can never pronounce the name.
Cimmerillion?
Silmarillion. Yes, there we go. I've never read that. I've never even read The Hobbit. I I tried
I
reading Lord of the
did.
Rings when I was in middle school. So
I read The Hobbit. I like it. um yeah, I haven't read the Cimmerillion either. I have no idea, but I mean, I got the sense that it might be because there was no Aragorn, there was no Frodo, there was no even Bilbo. So and like I was like, and where's Gandalf? So I was like, this must take place at a
y-
different point in time. I just
years and
don't know
years and
what it
years
is.
ago, with how young Galadriel and Elrond are in this trailer.
Yeah, it's probably like a good clean like 3K years ago. Wait, no. Sauron has been gone for like 1,000 years at this point, right? It's when Lord of the Rings starts. So I'm guessing. Who
All I know
knows?
is that I probably want to have a Lord of the Rings marathon before the show comes out. And seeing as Colin bought me the extended editions for my birthday a couple years ago, that's what's going down for sure.
Yo,
Nice.
those extended editions are where it's at.
Yeah. So if anybody would like to join me, I'm gonna make a game plan for it. That's a full day's worth of work, and it has to
Yeah.
start early, because I've done it
Yeah.
before.
I used to do that like regularly at like Christmas. It would be like Harry Potter marathon and Lord of the Rings marathon.
That's how we introduced my youngest brother, to Lord of the Rings. We did a marathon of the extended editions. But he had already seen Fellowship of the Ring, so that was fine. But the other two movies he hadn't seen yet. So
Dude, my favorite is Two Towers. That one. Ugh, nothing beats that last
I'm
battle,
gonna be
man.
honest with you. It depends on what day of the week you catch me. It might be Fellowship. It might be Two Towers. It might be Return of the King. For a very long time, Return of the King was my favorite Lord of the Rings movie, though.
Return of the King, it's just a good hit because they win, and you're like yes. But Two Towers is like to me is like that turning point, and
As it
they
should be.
finally
It's the second act.
yeah, it's just like they finally get something, and and then like the Rohan come in, and it's just like ugh,
Yeah,
I
but
love
Return of the
it.
King, that conclusion hits, bro, every time.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. No.
Ugh,
And I'm hoping that the show hits just the same. I've got it on the calendar. I'm ready for it to start. I watched the sneak peek of the teaser before this new trailer came out, and I was super excited. I was just like, "Oh my gosh!" But
yeah.
yeah, this show looks amazing. It looks expensive. I hope the writing is just as good as its production value because, dear God, it's
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah, I hope I feel like it probably is. It's not like it's not based on incredibly detailed and thorough source material.
True.
Yeah,
And
but it's not like this is based on any particular book that Tolkien wrote. This is still them kind of writing based off of what knowledge we have of Tolkien's universe, which, to be fair, as you said, it is very well thought out. And there are plenty of appendices and indexes that tell us about these stories.
yeah, like he invented languages for this.
Um,
Like
yeah, Tolkien is up there as one of my favorite creators, with like George Lucas, because I'm like, they've created such expansive worlds that people can build off of. And my inspiration from them is like, I would love to create a world that expansive that other people are interested in like building off of it. Like, it's incredible the work that went into their world building. So I'm excited. I'm stoked. More Lord of the
me
Rings. I mean, I'm not going to complain about it unless it's
right?
bad.
I'm also
Right.
excited, man. Let's let's go. I'm gonna give this season a shot. Hopefully, I mean, I'm excited though. I want to learn. I want to see.
It's wild. We're
It's
getting a Lord of the Rings show and a new Game of Thrones show in the span of like a month. Span of a couple weeks,
yeah,
I think.
yeah. Because Game of Thrones comes out what the 20
It's like August, late August.
late August, and then this is September 3rd. Yeah,
Wow.
we,
Close together.
the high fantasy. Let's go.
We're coming back. I love me some high fantasy. All right, let's get on to our next news piece.
Yes, there's not a whole lot of news. Joe Biden's son is a crackhead and Army Hammer works at a hotel. But aside from that, can you
That's
guys
not on
not
the
hear about
list.
that? No, it's not on the list.
I mean, I
The
already
Army Hammer
knew
thing I knew
about.
about.
Yeah, Army Hammer thing, and then it's like general knowledge that Joe Biden's son has a drug problem. Yes, we did know that.
Army Hammer's thing was more surprising to me because I didn't know about that. But it doesn't.
Yeah, that was wild. I was like,
But
ooh,
that's
you
not what's on our
really.
list today, guys. What's on the list?
No, different white
Oh,
man.
yes,
Alden
sorry.
Ehrenreich. He is cast in Ironheart, as we don't know yet.
My man is coming
Yeah.
back. I'm so excited.
Yay! We also had another really great casting for that too. Let me pull up his name because I love him. He
We
is,
did?
I didn't know that.
yeah. Well, he's an actor from this show called Good Girls that I really like. Manny Montana has been cast in Ironheart as well, and also an undisclosed role.
No, they're not releasing whoever has been. None of the people who have been cast in the show have been disclosed as to what their roles are, except for Dominique Thorne, who is playing
Right.
Riri Williams.
Yeah.
I am so happy about Alden Ehrenreich. I feel like I have not seen that man since Solo: A Star Wars Story. I probably haven't. I have been a fan of his since 2013 when he was in Beautiful Creatures, which was an okay adaptation of one of my favorite books of all time. I love whenever I see him thriving. I loved him in Solo, and I'm just glad that he's in a Marvel TV series. I'm curious as to who he's going to be playing. I read the first issue of Riri Williams of Ironheart when it first came out, but it was like right before I went off to university. So I had to stop collecting comics. So I couldn't continue paying for it. So I haven't read any more than that. Super stoked. I love him. Fun fact, his mom was giving me advice on how to get into different colleges.
Nice.
That was years ago.
How do you know his mom?
I actually don't know his mom. I've only ever talked to her on the phone. She met my mom through one of the jobs that my mom was doing. And my mom was like, yeah, you should. I told her that you're into film. And she told me that her son went to I think he went to NYU or something for film. And she's like, and I want you to talk to her because, her son went for film. So she probably has some really good advice on how to get into film schools. And then she told me who her son was. And I was like,
Oh my god!
by that point, I was already a huge fan of his from Beautiful Creatures. And I was just like, what? Yeah, okay, cool.
That's wild.
So that's a wild story that I've got for you guys. I don't know if you guys have any opinion on Alden Ehrenreich being cast in Ironheart, other than it's a casting for an MCU show.
I like him too. It's sort of rare that you get the teen romance from the dude's perspective, and I did like that take on Beautiful Creatures.
Okay, I thought I was the only one who knew what that was.
No, I've loved that movie. I know it's not great, but like Zoe Deutsch is in it. The cast is like amazing, and then like it's just I was like, there should be more of this.
Zoe Deutsch was the reason I went to go see that movie, and the reason I started reading those books.
I really like that movie.
I think you would actually like the books, Gabby.
Ooh,
and like you said, it's very rare that we get a teen romance from the perspective of the teenage boy, which was actually one of the bonuses that I loved about those books because they were from the first person perspective from Ethan. I loved him. He's so great. Dallas, any opinions?
Or
are you calling today?
But I did this. The article reminded me that Anthony Ramos is in the show, so that's exciting, and obviously in an undisclosed role because that's what they're doing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him and the show in general. But yeah, I don't have any thoughts on this particular casting. I look forward to watching the show whenever it comes out.
Also, there's probably nothing more iconic than Alden Ehrenreich in Hail Caesar.
Oh, yeah, he was so great in that. He was so great in that. Just like the cowboy and like the fringe.
When he's trying to say his lines with a proper accent and he just can't. God, it's so good.
Oh, he was trying so hard. I felt so bad for him too, like as an actor, because he's like, no, like I'm good here. Like I like my job. And they're like, no, you have to be fancy now. And he was like, okay.
Would that it was so simple. I'm trying to say that, Mr. Lawrence.
Ugh. Oh, it's so good.
Next news piece, Dallas, what we got? Last news piece as well.
Last thing is Black Mirror. It's coming back. New season, new cast. I'm excited. I didn't know we were ever going to get Black Mirror again.
I mean, right? I was also a little concerned just because Charlie Brooker, who is the guy who created and writes the show, was like, yeah, I'm not writing a new season of Black Mirror. We're currently living in one. Like, back in 2019 or something. Or
he's like, what do we need Black Mirror for?
He's not incorrect.
Yeah, he's definitely right.
That was like during like the presidential election or something. During COVID and the presidential election, I think.
Bad times.
That's why he wasn't writing it.
Yep. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
No need to gain inspiration. It's happening.
Right?
True. He's like, oh, the season wrote itself. But we got Zazie Beetz. I'm so excited.
Oh, I'm so stoked.
Zazie Beetz, Josh Hartnett, Aaron Paul, Kate Mara, Danny Ramirez.
There's so many Americans.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah, I
become
don't
the
know.
show's become a lot more Americanized since it went over to Netflix.
True. And Bryce Dallas Howard showed up in that really dope Nosedive episode.
I mean, she
Yeah.
showed up and directed as well.
That's dope. She's
That's
great.
her episode. She's a fantastic director as well. But yeah, ever since what season was that? 3?
That was 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been pretty Americanized ever since season 3. We've been getting
Fair.
more and more American actors on the show. Zazie is the one I'm most excited for this upcoming season.
Oh, same.
Yeah. I hope she's in an episode that I can bear to watch.
We'll let you know.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you guys have to let me know which episodes are safe and which ones I should avoid at all costs.
Just watch all of them, Gabby.
All of them are very rarely
And-
safe for you.
And spiral into depression. No, thank you.
Also, fun fact about Black Mirror. Well, everybody knows that Daniel Kaluuya was on it before he was super famous.
Yep.
But then I realized that Damson Idris is also on it.
Yes, he is.
Unfortunately, his episode, like story-wise, wasn't that remarkable. But then he became one of my favorite actors. And I was like, oh my God, you're on Black Mirror?
You know which one of my favorite actresses is on that show as well? Twice, as
Which
a matter
one?
of fact. Hannah John Common.
She's in Playtest?
She's in Playtest, and she's also in the episode with Daniel Kaluuya.
Wait, is she the one who's singing?
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
Not the
That's
one,
crazy.
obviously, that he's friends with or like falls in love with. That's Jessica Brown Findlay, who is also an actress I really,
Okay.
really like. But Hannah plays the singer that you hear a lot in the background whenever that
Got
ad
it.
comes on. She's one of the
Okay.
contestants on the show. A lot of actors actually are on there before they were like super big.
Mm-hmm.
The two that I love who don't count on that list are Gugu Mbatha and Mackenzie Davis, obviously, for San Junipero, which is my favorite episode.
Yeah, it's very on brand for you.
It's also just not as depressing as all the other ones.
It's the sweet
True.
episode.
To me, it's my favorite, but I don't think it's the best episode. I think the best episode is The Entire History of You.
I knew you were gonna say that one.
The Entire History of You is the best episode,
It's funny because that is one of the most depressing episodes.
but it's the best one.
It's really good. But man, is it rough.
Like, that was actually the episode that got me into watching the show because I watched it for a screenwriting class. And like,
Okay.
it's such a good episode to watch for writing purposes because
Mhm.
I think it's one of the best ones just emotionally. It just gets you like you're tapped in and you're like emotionally on this dude's side, or like you're naturally not. You're like kind of against him. You're like, dude, come on, man. Like, calm down. You're overthinking it. Like, come on. And then you get to that one point where it all just flips for you and you like, oh, word? Oh no.
Oh no.
That episode had me, bro. That episode made me turn on a corner real quick.
The first episode I watched was the one with the pig.
That's
I don't know why
upsetting.
I kept watching. But it's the first episode.
That's the
Like,
crazy
why
part.
did they
It's the
start like that?
It's the first episode, and it's always the one that I tell people don't start with it because that doesn't feel like the vibe of the show, but it is.
Yeah,
It's
the person.
too much of the vibe. But
It's
like,
not,
if you
though.
could, yeah, I haven't seen it though.
Because
It's
most
just-
of it is about technology and how we end up using it for like horrible things. But
Mhm.
like the first episode has nothing to do with that. It's just a very horrible cautionary tale.
It does and it doesn't. It's not the same style that they normally do, but that does play into it. But either way, it's not how I would have started the show. And I wish they didn't start with that. But it's a great show. I look forward to seeing Zazie and all the other people we just named. I'm about it.
Yeah.
Can't wait for
I
the
do-
bleak.
I do love Kate
sadness.
Mara. So it's most exciting whenever I feel like it's most exciting when we get casting announcements for Black Mirror, not because they're playing any characters in particular that we know. It's just fascinating to find out what characters they're going to play when the show comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you told me that that's what Anthony Mackie, Yahya Abdul-Mateen, and Ludi Lin and Palm Clemente would be doing, I
I was about to say that. I was like, yeah, because did not know where Striking Vipers was going to go.
absolutely not.
It's funny because if you would have told me that, I would have been like, I'm intrigued, but surprised. And that's what happened to watch the show. I was intrigued, but surprised. Anyway, that's Black Mirror. Surprise, surprise, guys. We have different opinions.
Oh, we do.
We do,
I'm always surprised.
right? It's always a surprise. For those who don't know, different opinions is when we read comments from you guys, the people, the audience. Not to be confused with indifferent opinions, which is when I force Colin to speak.
But he's not here, so we can't force him
He's
to do
not
anything.
here. So, yeah. Couldn't even force him to be
Yeah.
here because he's not here. YouTube comment for episode 187, The Black Phone, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Clout Chasing Culture. Comment is from Phantom Plus, aka Nick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, that's Nick.
Comment is LMFAO, Ethan Hawke is the best worst actor after Casey Affleck. So I don't know why, but I've known for years that Nick has this feeling about Casey Affleck as being the best worst actor. Nick, you tripping. Ethan Hawke is fantastic. I don't know why you're putting him on this thing. I also don't know why that one time we were at your house, you had us watch that Casey Affleck movie where he's just beating up Jessica Alba the whole time.
Oh my God, what?
It was not an enjoyable movie.
Which movie is this?
The Killer Inside Me or something like that. I don't know. Wouldn't recommend it. But ever since that day, Casey Affleck has reminded me of Nick. But shout out to Nick. Thanks for listening. Moving on. Instagram. We had a post about Thor and what do you guys think of the personality makeover that Taika Waititi gave to Thor? Comment from Blue Moon Lycan. Man, Marcellus, your name. Comment was, that's not comic book Thor, you right. I assume you right is directed at Colin, because Colin was complaining, as he does, about the way that Taika changed Thor's personality. He did, but so what? I like it better.
Dallas.
We're addressing the comments. Oh, did you guys have anything to say about Ethan Hawke being the best worst actor after Casey Affleck?
I feel like I don't watch Ethan Hawke enough, but I feel like I don't agree with that assessment because I've heard enough people compliment Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke is great. I mean, I'm on Colin's side, even though I do like the new Thor, but still.
I mean,
he definitely changed it.
Yeah, no, is it comic book Thor? No.
This isn't even.
Do I like it? Yeah.
It's an improvement. But yeah, Marcellus, Nick, thanks for listening. Thanks for commenting. Everyone else, comment more. We love y'all. That's the episode. Thank you, like I just said, for listening to all that. Thank you, Crown Digital, Brandon, and Io for putting us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Demi, thank you for editing, putting us on YouTube, repping for the people who love Miss Marvel and Infidelity. If you heard the
no, hold up, sir. I don't like
saying,
that.
You seem very happy about the Harley Ivy situation.
I'm just saying, those are a bunch of criminals, and Poison Ivy had already been harassed, so.
Okay, audience, you can tell us. Let us know. If
that's
you think
not.
me,
that's just karma at that point.
It's complicated.
You guys are pro hussy. Thank you, Gabby, for coming through for the vibes.
I'm pro whatever outcome I like. Okay.
I respect
it didn't have to happen like that, but it did.
Okay, yeah. You're happy with where it ended, not how it got there.
Yeah, because remember, I was in the group chat going, Ivy, just end the relationship. Just stop.
You were. That's true. You were.
And she did.
Wait, no, she didn't. No, she didn't.
I mean,
she got outed.
Yeah, it's bad, bad, Ivy.
Wow, what an outing.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Anyway, yes, Gabby, thank you for coming through for the vibes. Colin, thank you for nothing.
We love you.
Yes, we do, of course. Audience, let us know, what do you think of Miss Marvel? Do you like it? Are you sexist or anti-Muslim?
If you are, please don't listen to this podcast anymore.
You didn't make it this far if you are.
It's true.
But yeah, let us know in the comments. Or hit us on Twitter at y'all_different. Or Instagram and Tumblr at Creative Differences Podcast. Or Facebook.com/Creative Differences PC. If you want to talk about Spectacular Spider-Man with me, because that's all I'm going to be talking about for the next couple of weeks, find me on Twitter and Instagram at the King Named Zimba.
If you're also a foodie that wants to talk about this foodie-ass show, you can find me on the Instagrams at Stegosaurus.
If you guys want to talk to me about why Ms. Marvel is in my top 10 MCU projects, or if you want to talk to me about Harley and Poison Ivy, you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dreamy Films. Dreamy is spelled DREEMI. Thanks again for joining us. Next time around, we will be doing a Throwback Thursday for The Dark Knight Rises, and we've got a special treat for you guys.
Yes, we do. Speaking of special treats, Colin. If you want to find Colin, you can find him on Twitter at Gin and Juice. Gin is spelled DJINN. And juice is spelled and juice. All right. It's been different. Bye.
Bye.
So.
Yes.
Welcome everyone back to a special edition of The Splash Zone.
Oh, wow.
This is Demi's featured presentation of The Splash Zone.
Yes.
Demi, question. Who is hotter? Aisha from Miss Marvel or Dina Madani from The Punisher?
Ooh.
Take your time.
No, I don't want to take my time. Tags aren't supposed to be this long. So my first thought.
You broke her.
I'm glad you bring this up. I think I'm gonna have to give it to Aisha. I think that woman came on screen and I was like, I think you might legitimately be one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen in life. She has such a pretty face. It doesn't make sense.
It's a very nice face.
Like, I saw somebody say on YouTube that she looked like she was CGI.
Ooh. I need to look at this person.
You do. And then you can join.
Hold
the
on.
splash.
I need that reaction real quick. Go look her up real quick.
She doesn't look real. Oh my god.
She doesn't look real.
She doesn't.
It's by a hair though, because you know I love me some Dina Madani.
You do. That's why I was like, I gotta bring that.
Especially when she's hanging out with Jigsaw. That's all I'm saying.
All right, this has been the Splash Zone. Y'all have a good one.
Can't believe you've done the Splash Zone 3 episodes in a row. That's ridiculous.
I love it. It's my favorite thing.